Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the Writer's Bookshelf series. And today we are going to do a new book that I have not done yet, because that's how this series works. Is I do a new book each week that you should read. And if you're unfamiliar with this series, if you're stumbling in on this in the first time, what the Writer's Bookshelf is we're going through books I have on bookshelf. I'm a writer, and these are books that I've read or am in the middle of reading, but I find are useful. A lot of the ones I've already gone through are books I've read a long time ago that I've actually kind of forgotten, but I still remember them being really useful. And I think if you are looking for writing advice, I definitely think that these are books that you should be reading in order to get that advice. But also, more importantly, is regardless of whether or not you're going through a class, or you just decided one day, hey, I want to be a writer. Like, that race car gig is not panning out so well anymore, and I don't want to keep hitting walls. I think I'm gonna write now. Like, if you're in that situation where you want to stop hitting walls and you want to write, whether you're walking into them, driving into them, running into them, painting them, I don't know what you're doing with walls. This is a way in which you can improve your skills ahead of time and put it to practice. And writing is something that I know a lot of people think that they can just sit down and do it. It's kind of a cliche to the point where, like, any aspiring writer says, I think I'm going to write today. I think I'm going to write a book today. And it doesn't mean that it's going to come out well. Until you have the training, until you have the experience and the skill, you can do the job, but no promises that it's going to be what you want or what readers want. And so part of the point of the series is to get you into a reading regimen that's going to get you, closer to being better at this. Nothing beats practice, and today's book is going to be kind of like the book I'm going to recommend in order to get you started. So if you have not gotten started yet, today's going to be the day that I'm going to encourage you to start now, because you should be 6 books in by now. We covered, if you're late to the series, we covered Stephen King's On Writing. We covered Anne Lamont's Bird by Bird. We covered Larry Brooks's Structure Trilogy, the Story Trilogy, which is Story Engineering, Story Physics, and Story Fix. And then last week we covered Stephen James's Story Trump Structure. And so those are all about, the global, the whole story from beginning to end, concept, all the stuff that you really need to know before you get started. What we're going to cover today is openings, like how do you actually get started on your book? Where's the right place to start? So today's book is going to be Hooked by Les Edgerton. It's the one with the goldfish on it. Okay. This book is actually an older book. It's a small, quick read. It's only, it's a little over 200 pages, but it's 200 pages in a book that's very small. It's like the size of my head. And you can read it pretty quickly, but it's strictly about getting the reader interested in your book by the opening chapter. And the reason why I think this is important is I know for me personally, and I think a lot of writers struggle with this, getting through that first opening act is a pain, because no one really knows, like, where do I start? Like, think about Lord of the Rings. Hopefully you've seen the movie, or you've read the book, so you kind of know where it starts. The book in particular, it spends about 100 pages in the Shire, just learning about the Shire folk. It's long, it's exhausting, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting because it's a world I'm not familiar with, but yet I am, because it's given me a perspective of these fantastical creatures who have a life not unlike my own. And so I can relate while also being whisked away to this fantasy land. And it's for as sluggish as it potentially can be, Tolkien, he's kind of good at what he does. He still keeps it just captivating enough to get you want to keep going with it, but also to be immersed into his world. And that's just that's fantasy. Like with the other, if you read Jack Reacher, the first book in the series, Killing Floor. I could not put that book down. I think it's like a 400 or 500 page book. I think I read it in 8 days. I don't read anything that fast, except for Max Berry's latest book, which is my favorite author. I read that in 3 days. Rare exception. But anyway, with The Killing Floor, I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but in the first 8 pages, Jack Reacher gets arrested for sitting in a diner. Like, what the heck? He's just a big dude who's homeless, who is drinking coffee. He's the guy who has coffee. If you've been keeping up with my series, you know that's a running theme now. It's the guy who drinks coffee. Well, Jack Reacher is the guy who drinks coffee in the first 8 pages, and while he's drinking coffee, he gets arrested. What the? And you got to know, like, why is this dude getting arrested? He's just a normal, big, hulking homeless man who happened to get off a bus. He's somewhere in Georgia, just trying to relax, just trying to enjoy his morning, like you and I hopefully would want. And these cops bust in and they arrest him for murder. What? What? And so you're hooked. So that's so much better than a book, let's say, guy drinks coffee and, you know, server, you know, pours him another cup, and, you know, maybe it's a nice looking woman who, you know, gets his attention and she flashes her hair at him, and you'd be like, hey, yeah, you know, I don't have the time right now because I have too much to do, sitting around drinking coffee. And you're like, dude, she's hitting on you. But really gonna turn her down? Seriously? You know, like, no one wants to read that story. Like, there's nothing happening. It's boring. This dude drinking a coffee, turning down a waitress who's hitting on him. Who wants to read that? Well, it depends. Depends on why he's turning her down. Oh, see, you see what I did there? I didn't give up on the idea yet. But now if it's something like, well, because I'm married, well, okay, yeah, that's boring. But if it's because, hey, yeah, I can't talk to you right now because these dudes are about to come arrest me and I'm just trying to enjoy my coffee before they come get me. Wait, what? What's about to happen? Yeah. No, I want to finish my coffee because these guys are coming to get me and I can't let them do that. I'm going to have to just, like, run or fight, or I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But I'm going to finish my coffee. I know that much. And you're a beautiful woman and I'm sure you're awesome. Just don't have the time right now because plus I don't really want to get you involved because it might get violent. Do you really want to be part of that? I don't think you do. So if you don't mind, I mean, I appreciate the interest. I just want to enjoy my coffee before I got to go kick someone's butt, you know, and defend my life. Just, if you don't mind. And, you know, and so what we did is we still took what could have been a boring situation. We turned it around into something. So the premise, again, with Hooked is give your reader the right opening. Give them something reason to want to keep going past the first chapter. This is also good if you're looking to be traditionally published. I know there's a lot of arguments nowadays whether or not that's something you should even aspire to, because of the way the pay structure works, the way that, you know, the timing works. I still think that you're probably going to get the best exposure through traditional publishing, not to mention the best deals, you know, the best subsidiary deals. So if your goal is to become, you know, a bestseller, wide known, still don't think there's anything wrong with trying. But the price is you probably are going to lose your IP, which I don't particularly want to do. So I like the idea of deciding, hey, you know that book I did that I didn't think there was serious potential in it, but a lot of people like it. Maybe I can find a way. Or, you know, with Computer Nerd, for example, it was originally written to be a one-time book. And the rewrite is going to be set up in a way where it can actually generate a short series. It's probably 5 books maybe, you know. And I already got it in my head what those 5 books will be if I follow through with a new plan. But it didn't begin that way. It didn't begin with that idea. But with traditional publishing, you know, there's no guarantees past the first book. But you at least want to guarantee that you get a book. And that's, again, Hooked will help you with that. It'll at least get your foot in the door. So anyway, I'm not going to really go into the details of what's in it other than the fact it's all about how to start the book. I mean, everything you could possibly think of on how to, you know, get on the right foot, it's in here. And so we're doing this today, even though there's still some structural books I want to go back to after this. We're doing this today because I do think it's a good idea to at least start getting into the mindset of doing the writing. And you have to start somewhere. And I think if you can perfect the opening, you're well on your way to getting the rest of it. So this is your reading assignment this week, Hooked by Les Edgerton. It might be a little difficult to find. It's an older book. I know you're not going to find it in the bookstore anymore. And, you know, if you can't find it, get the ebook. I'm sure the ebook is available somewhere. There are ways to get it. It doesn't have to be the hard, paperback. I don't know what the paperback's availability is nowadays. Sometimes books go out of print. I think this is old enough that it might be in that range. But if it's not, if you can get the physical copy, I think the physical copy is really good. See, why potentially good beginnings go bad. Can you see? Again, it's golden, like the goldfish. So anyway, let me know what you think of the book if you check it out, and if you want to, if you have an opening and you want to link it to the comments, if you have a blog you want to post it and have people check out your openings, go ahead. It's good forum for that, and we're all friends here, even though we've never seen each other, never spoken to each other. It's all good. No, but seriously, if you want a little mini workshop and test your openings with people, go ahead and post a link to your website where you have it posted, and hopefully people will comment and respond. And I'm happy to link or lead them to your website if you want. So go ahead. No, feel free. But like and subscribe if you haven't already. Do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do, and come back next week. And we're gonna do one more. I'm gonna go back to more structural stuff 2 weeks from now. We're gonna do one that I think is really important to again have in your mindset when you start writing. And I'll tell you what that is next week. But it's one that it honestly took me a little while to get through it. But once I did, I was grateful that I did it. And it's one of the few that I've actually started taking notes on, because I think it's, once you really piece it together, it's useful. But normally this book that I'm going to do next week, I would actually save it down the line a little. But I think that it's worth getting it into your head now to get in that mindset. So come back for that, and then the week after that we'll get back to some structural stuff. So have a good one, and see you next week. Thanks. Bye.